and welcome to Breezy's World, where today we're going to be talking about our Don't Drink the Kool-Aid series. I know it's been a while. Merry Christmas, by the way. I have been really busy between school and work. Luckily, I'm done with schools, and it's the holidays, so I have some time to catch up with everything. But we're going to finish with our Don't Drink the Kool-Aid series with part 4. Now, before I continue into the True Crime Lounge, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. I like I like this one. It's more subtle. Alright. Over the 20 years preceding the events of Jonestown, the Reverend Jim Jones' number of followers throughout America has grown considerably as he drew himself the outcasts of society, along with those who desire to help the downtrodden severe those in need. During the early 1960s, Jones preached the need for racial brotherhood and integration in an unpopular doctrine at the time that brought him much criticism from the church hierarchy. To avoid such criticism, Jones founded the People Temple in 1963, where both black and white worshiped side by side. The poor and society's misfits were welcomed with open arms. Jones' congregation worked to feed the poor, find employment for the jobless, and help ex-criminals and drug addicts put their lives back together. So it seems kind of interesting. So it seemed to have good cause. Um, as his congregation grew, however, so did the demands he did upon the flock. Greater sacrifices and dedication was required of the people memberships. As criticisms of the church's practice, Jones relocated to Northern California in 1965 along with 100 of his most dedicated and faithful followers. Once in California, the People's Temple grew considerably and then together a congregation with its headquarters based in San Francisco. To attract members of his church, Jones widely publicized his services and promising miraculous members of healing or cancers would be removed and the blind may see. Interesting. Upon arrival, potential recruits was witness a community of brotherhood fellowship where everyone, no matter their standing, their social standing and color, were treated as equals. Each new potential member was greeted with um, a personal warmth rarely encountered in traditional churches. People, People's Temple's members would stand before the crowd and recount stories of illnesses by Jim Jones that had a cure for them. To further convince his audience he had great powers, he would make predictions of events that would always come to pass and receive revelations about members or visitors. Yeah, things that only could have been known before the eyes, things that they only could have known. Before the eyes, Jones would heal cancer patients and a mass of protrude tissues that would be torn into patients' bodies. The passing of severe limitations was required by the members and had the effect of making entry that makes more desirable. It also had the effect of creating a much higher level of commitment from members. Each new level of commitment asked. Actually like this lighting for right now. Asked the members to immediately be justified by the fact that much had already been sacrificed. To reject a new situation would mean admitting that the previous acts of commitment have been wrong, and a natural phenomenon that people would tend to prolong a previously made commitment, even when it's painful, without admit that they have made a mistake. Demands made upon members were only small and level choices that were high. The commitment of further time and energy into the organization was gradual. Even the desire was so increased by the promise of achievement of a higher ideal. Okay, I don't know what kind of preacher this guy was, but okay. All members were taught to achievement of ideal requiring sacrifice. The more was sacrificed, and more would be achieved. The new members would gradually come along to meetings and hours and work the churches of healing. Jones increased the demands of members in small increments. At a new level of commitment, any reservation the persons may have could easily been rationalized and justified. By the time Jones' demands had become oppressive, the individual members were heavily committed that to not fulfill any demands. Just as the demands of members' times increased gradually over time, so did the level of financial commitment increase. Sounds like another cult I know I'm not going to name, but I think we know which one I'm talking about. In the early days of membership, giving money was completely voluntary. Although amounts that were given was recorded openly by the recording amounts given, an unspoken expectation was conveyed. The new members became measured over a period of time and increased to 25%. The highest level of commitment that could be demonstrated was an individual of a family that could live in the People's Temple's facilities, heading over to personal property and saving the social checks of the temple. The ideal of communal living was a large space aspect of Jones' teaching as being a part of a only ritual spiritual idea. The outside world of capitalism and individualism was seen as evil and destructive. Forces that evil system would see the achievements of the People's Temple as a threat of stability and therefore willing to destroy it. Through such teachings, Jones was able to create the illusion that only place in the safety and comfort of the People's Temple. The members saw many criticisms as the church from the outside as being untrustworthy and proof that Jones was what Jones taught. I don't blame those outsiders. There's a reason this is called Don't Drink the Kool-Aid. From the earliest stages, however, their indoctrination, each member was taught that achievement of the higher spirituality would require struggle against their own weaknesses. Any of the resistance of individual harbored against the church were quickly suppressed as being an indication that of a person's lack of faith. Jones would regularly bring critics before the assembly and chastise them. Okay, there we go. Sorry, y'all. Technical difficulties over here. Alright. Okay. Parents will publicly beat their children for transgressions while husbands and wives will be required to punish each other. Yeah, definitely not something I want to be a part of. The desire to relinquish more and more control of their lives over to Jones was further encouraged by found harmony and peace that committed members felt in their lives.